right, good afternoon, District 73 and beyond. This is Kim McCarthy. I am the candidate, or a candidate for State Representative for District 73 in November. So I am here coming to you live from my front porch every Friday at noon so that I can get out into the community COVID style. Obviously, COVID has put a damper on many of our public activities. So I'm coming here so that you as voters can understand who I am better, that I can share my values and vision for this state, and that we can discuss together the issues that we are facing. We've had a wide variety of issues discussed here on my front porch, and today we are going to be discussing the different anti-racism activism that's going on across the district. We're going to have representatives from Fairborn, Beavercreek, Bellbrook, Sugarcreek, and Yellow Springs on shortly. And I'm excited to have them join me. You know, this country, since the murder of George Floyd, there's been an uprising and a level of energy surrounding the treatment of Black and Brown people in our country. There's a level of energy that we haven't seen before. You know, this obviously has been an ongoing issue, but there's been some really serious steps forward on addressing racism of late. And for that, I'm excited. I mean, we as white people, you know, this is our problem, and we all have a role to play in making sure everyone in this country has equality. So we'll bring them on in a second, but I just want to give a little update on the campaign. Tomorrow we are having our first rally on the streets. Again, this is a COVID activity that we haven't done before, but what better way to let people know about us than stand on the street with big signs so that everyone can see. We're going to be meeting in 3 different cities tomorrow, 1 o'clock in Bellbrook, basically the corner of 725 and Wilmington Pike outside Dunkin' Donuts at 1 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, we're going to be in Beavercreek, basically the corner of Dayton Xenia and North Fairfield, outside of Friendly's on that corner. And then at 3 o'clock, we're going to be in Fairborn on Dayton Yellow Springs Road in front of the Kroger there by 675, right out front of where the Starbucks is. So yeah, come to one or come to all. Obviously, I'm going to be at all 3. I won't be able to teleport on the hour, but we have people at each of those spots, and I'll be showing up, you know, 10 minutes after the fact for the 2nd and 3rd rallies. So yeah, we're going to be doing this every Saturday from now until the election. So come on out, meet your neighbors, meet people who feel the same way as you do. It's easy to think that our country is really divided right now and that everybody is hateful, but you know, we have more things in common than we like to think. We all want good schools. We all want clean air. We all want to stamp corruption out of our government. So come on out, and it's going to be beautiful weather. It's a beautiful day today, actually, for one of the first Fridays outside. The weather's starting to finally cool off, so that's a good thing. So yeah, that rally is tomorrow and every Saturday going forward. We also have postcards that we are distributing to people. If you feel like writing notes to your neighbors, we can provide you with the labels, the postcards, the postage if you need it. We just need your little signature and note on the back. So you can email vote@kimmccarthyoh.com if you want to be set up for postcards. I did want to mention one endorsement that I just received from the Communication Workers of America, District 4. So I just got that this past week, CWA, and I thought it would be a good time to mention that, seeing as though Labor Day is Monday. So labor is the backbone of this country. That is who has fought for all of the rights that we have in relation to labor. But, you know, one of the reasons I'm fighting and standing up to run for office is because I grew up in Australia, and I see where America is failing its labor and the movement. We need paid leave for everyone. We need a livable wage for everyone. There is still so much work to do. So I'm proud to receive that endorsement. I definitely stand on the side of Labor, and I want to say thank you to everyone who came before me for the strides that have been made, and I wish everyone a happy Labor Day on Monday. So, all right. Senator Paul Wellstone is one of my favorite senators, the late, great Paul Wellstone. He said that if we want to have a better society, there are 3 critical components. The first component is we need good public policy. And I speak about this a lot. You can look on my website. I have tons of detailed public policies there, policies that can make people's lives better. We need good public policy. We need to elect people like me who is going to work for those good public policies and get them passed. People who are going to do the right thing, not take money from corrupt entities, right? Very important component. But the last component is grassroots organizing, because change does not come from electing one person alone. We need a movement of people behind them. And that's why I'm excited to bring on some people who are grassroots organizing. So let me bring in the ladies. I think I can admit all at once. There we go. People behind them. All right. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
All right, so I will just go through and let you know who you're looking at right now, and then we will start by hearing their stories. So firstly, I don't know if the screens are all in the same space, but on my screen, and you can see the names written anyway, Denise Moore. She is from Sugarcreek Township, where I live. She is the founder of Sugarcreek Cares. So that covers the Bellbrook and Sugarcreek communities. So welcome, Denise.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and then underneath me is Laurie Lucas. She is from Beavercreek, and she is here representing the Citizens for a Better Beavercreek, which I assume represents the township as well. But yeah.
Yes, it does. And thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
No problem. All right, and then underneath Laurie, we have Anaya Tassi. She is part of the Fairborn Diversity and Inclusion Committee, which is a committee that was formed by the city of Fairborn. So welcome, Anaya. She does not have a camera, but she's there. Although I see she's muted. Oh, no, here we come.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Good, welcome. All right, and then last we have 2 young students, which makes me so happy to see young people involved. We have Ariel Johnson and Sophia Gislin. They are both from Yellow Springs. They are representing their youth leaders in the group YS Speaking Up for Justice. Mm-hmm. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we'll just kind of move through each of the groups one by one, and we can start with Denise. Again, she's at the top of my screen. So Denise, why don't you just introduce yourself briefly and, tell us why you founded this group, what your group's all about, and what you've been doing to address racism in your area.
Okay, so my name is Denise Moore. I'm a retired faculty member from Sinclair, and actually retired in 2008, but I'm still teaching there. I'm starting my 48th year with Sinclair this year, so it's a great place to be, and I love working with students. I established Sugarcreek Cares. It kind of evolved. I actually wanted to go down to Dayton shortly after George Floyd was murdered. I wanted to join in with that group down there, but I actually was afraid. And so I thought to myself, why not have a rally out in our neighborhood? Our community is very, very predominantly white. I think in our vicinity, we only have about 2% of Blacks in our community and other minorities. So we started to do rallies. And then from that, I decided to create Sugarcreek Cares, and our mission is basically probably the same as all of yours, is to oppose any form of racism and social injustice. And our standard basically is to be an anti-racist. So we started learning how we might go about doing that learned a lot about white privilege and implicit bias. And so I decided we can't just keep on rallying, and we got to do more than just rally. So there's a group of 6 of us that work together, and we created 6 what I call strategic action items. Public awareness is one, where we do our rallies, and we'd like to get into doing table talks with the community. Education is another. We use Facebook, our Facebook group page, to educate ourselves. So that's what education means. We do list books and lectures and links and things like that. Politics is another area that we do, where we're doing voter registration every Friday at the Sugarcreek farmers market, and we collect the forms, and I drive them out to the Board of Elections and drop them off. I think we're sitting right at right around 35. We've turned in 35 or 39 forms. We also
Great.
do ballot request forms. Law enforcement, we've met with the police departments of both Bellbrook and Sugarcreek, and not the most success. It was a successful meeting because we did not want them to think that we opposed our police departments, because we have not had incidents like other areas have. And we did not want, and I think a lot of people who watched us rally thought that we were always opposing our police, and that wasn't it. But do we believe police reform is important? Yeah, absolutely. Do we think that refunding, not defunding, but refunding the police is important? Yes, we do. So we've tried to have dialogue with them. As Kim mentioned earlier, we did meet with the township trustees and tried to get them to pass a resolution, and so far not successful with that. We are getting ready to meet with the Bellbrook city manager in the next week or two to try to have dialogue with her. A couple of us has already met with the city council just through Zoom, just to mention and let them know who we are. We also have a faith-based connection where we're trying to get in with our ministerial group. And that includes not only the Christian churches, but also the mosque. We have a mosque here and synagogues, and then schools. Our last one is hit schools, try to talk about employment, how they do that. And then also looking at the curriculum, because, through this, I think we've all learned that we have learned history not so good. It's not so, what do I call it? Reliable, our history instruction. So those are the areas.
Yeah, that's great, Denise. I mean, it sounds like you have a really thorough approach. This is a multifaceted problem that has to be addressed in many ways. So I know some of those directions, like the school, for example, is difficult right now. But, this is a long-term project, right? We're not going to fix this in a year. So, yeah, I've been involved with your group a little because I live in Sugarcreek, and I'm really proud of you and everyone who's stepped up and been involved because, like you said, we may not have had incidents here with our police department, but we literally have an almost entirely white community. So, we've heard the stories about people driving through our communities, though, Black and brown people. There's too many stories to be told for it not to be an issue. So I appreciate you tackling the police departments on those hard issues.
One of the things I think that is bothering me right now is I think we have several members that are fearful of doing rallies right now, just because of the climate out in the environment right now. It's just, there's so much divisiveness, and so I'm a little worried about whether or not we'll be doing too many more. We were doing them like every week, and then we went to every other week, and now we don't have one scheduled for right now.
Have you had issues at the rallies with people threatening you?
I have to say that the majority of people that go by us are go for it, thumbs up, but we've had some really nasty comments, a lot of finger thrown at us. And last week we had a young man come up to our rallies and plop down in the middle with a Trump sign, and we're doing voter registration also at our rally, so we can't have any politics there. So
right.
That was kind of and I think he was planted, because there were adults in the periphery kind of watching. So I'm not sure what that was about. So that kind of alarmed a couple people.
Right. Okay. All right. So, I wanted to ask you what issues you've come up against. I've seen there has been some pushback on social media, but I feel like the majority of people are, for what we stand for. I think any of the division or the pushback that occurs seems to be from an uninformed perspective, that they're saying things that just aren't true.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you're continuing to educate, yourselves, and hopefully that will.
Yeah, when I hold a sign up that says "Stop Racism and Social Injustice," that's what my sign says. And then somebody comes by and says, "You should be ashamed of yourself." It's like, really?
Right.
I don't think so.
No. Right. All right. So I wanted to ask what your plans are going forward. So I think you just listed them all, really. I mean, you're just in the beginning stages, and there's plenty of work to be done. So how can people join in with your group if they're interested?
Well, we have a Facebook group page, Sugarcreek Cares, and all they have to do is go and agree to we set it up very much like the Beavercreek group. I actually kind of copied your Beavercreek group, the way you guys set up your Facebook page. So thank you for leading the way on that for me. And so they have to agree to the rules and agree to our mission, and then they're a member. We have I think right around 80 members right now.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Denise. Appreciate you coming on and sharing. And we will put the link to your Facebook page underneath the video so people can find it easily.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So let's move on. You mentioned Beavercreek. So let's go to Beavercreek. So let's have Laurie Lucas come on and share your story, Laurie, a little bit about yourself and why you are part of this and what you guys have been doing.
Yeah, so I'm Laurie Lucas. I'm retired Air Force. I am also a disabled veteran. I am a business owner in Beavercreek. I own this old couch. And we sort of got together. For me personally, we are the city where John Crawford III was murdered. And that was an important time. And Beavercreek is a predominantly white area. We have 13% BIPOC population, and out of that, only 3% are Black. So we wanted to make sure, though, that after the protest that happened in Beavercreek, where our own police department used tear gas, we were a little concerned. So we met with the police, a couple of us, and then the group got bigger. We met with the mayor. And we just weren't happy with the outcome. So what we did is we put this Facebook group together and looked around at each other. There are 6 of us in the leadership right now. And we said, well, we are all white. So what do we do? So we reached out to Asia Gibbs with the Solution Movement. And I just want to give her a huge gratitude. She really steered us in the right direction. And with her, we hosted our first talk back. And we did it socially distanced, and we basically had people come out that said, we were just curious to see how many people would even show up for this. And so through that, we ended up getting some people of color in our leadership, which is what we were aiming for. And so that's how we got started. We're just concerned that we want to be a welcoming community for those who travel through. And in fact, when we talked with our police, we know that we realized that 70% of their interactions are with visitors, not with residents. And so that's really important, that people who come to Beavercreek feel welcome, feel that they're safe here. And that's the goal of our group. And kind of how we got started.
Okay, so have you done being involved in organizing like this before, Laurie, or is this your first foray into it?
Well, I am a proud parent of a non-binary son. I guess that's the wrong one, non-binary kid. And so I am very active in the LGBTQIA mission. And so I've done a lot of advocacy work with that. So that is also included in our group. Our group is for BIPOC and LGBTQIA members. So this is kind of my first really going at it and just getting it started and building it from the ground up. And I will say I have a great group of women that we're working with, and the group is getting bigger. We have about 450 members now on our Citizens for a Better Beavercreek. And what we did is we decided that we would sit back and take a look at what we felt the needs were. And so we've identified 3 areas, and those 3 areas will have action groups. And so people can join the action group that they care to work on. And those are our Beavercreek Police Department and law enforcement, our city and county governments, and then our Beavercreek city schools. We do know that there is a lot to be done with the schools, but we're giving them a small break, and we won't start pressuring them and start pushing them until January. But our first action group is our law enforcement action group, and that group is going to meet by Zoom on 9/15 at 6:30 p.m. and then in person on 9/23, and that will be our first action group that takes off. But what we want to do is we really are staying focused on these. We are not partisan. Anyone who agrees with the tenets that racism is real, and we're not going to discuss whether systemic racism is real. You know, if you're on board with all that and you're ready to get moving, that's what Citizens for a Better Beavercreek is for.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what political party you're in, right? I mean, this is what it is. Yeah. Okay, great. So have you had much pushback from people so far, or? We've had some pushback from our city government in just that they aren't really excited about us doing this. And there was some conversation about that we're not a big city, we're Beavercreek, this stuff doesn't happen here. And so we know that we haven't gotten a lot of pushback yet, and maybe that's because we are behind the scenes doing everything to really set the structure for this, because we know this is a long haul, and we need to have the organization in place to take it on. And so I expect pushback, but we're going to be ready for it when it happens. And so we want to make sure that Beavercreek is again not known nationally for something negative for BIPOC and LGBTQIA folks, but that we're known for being welcoming and inviting. And as a business owner, that's really important. We need people to come into our communities, and our workers come from other places. And so we want to make sure that happens. And hopefully we'll be able to deal with the pushback. We are ready, and we're working with the solution movement to protest or do anything that we need to do. So we're ready. Okay. Good for you. Yeah, the John Crawford situation is, it's not good. I've been going for many years to the annual rallies that they hold there outside Walmart, and I was actually at the rally with the tear gas as well, with my 2 teenage children. And I was like, what in the world is going on here with the tear gas? I mean, I've taken my kids to many rallies over the years. I think it's important for my children to understand, this First Amendment right of ours, and that when, an injustice occurs, you need to stand up. And yeah, unbelievable that they did that tear gas. Shocking.
We were told that they anticipated that most of the people who attended were going to be from other places. And what ended up happening is they ended up tear gassing Beavercreek residents, because in fact, my daughter and most of the women on this group ended up being tear gassed. So that was really concerning, and that is unnecessary. It can't happen.
No. Okay, well, thank you, Laurie. It sounds like you guys are really doing the groundwork to have a strong base and a strong foundation to carry this work through. Because like you mentioned, this is a long-term project, and I wish you the best of luck in those 3 areas that you're focusing on. So how can people join your group if they're interested?
They can join us on Facebook right now, and also on Instagram at Citizens for a Better Beavercreek.
Okay.
There's some questions that they have to answer. They're simple, very easy. And once they're in the group, we also have a book group that talks through discussing books that people are reading and doing education. And we also have a group for children, which is Kids for a Better Beavercreek, that they can branch off and get lots of resources for kids too. And we're excited to work with all the other groups as well. So you'll probably see us partnering up with everybody else who's doing these activist kinds of things.
Good. All right, thank you, Laurie. I'll put your details in underneath the video as well. All right, thank you so much. Yeah. All right, so let's welcome Anaya Tassi now from Fairborn. Welcome, Anaya.
Hello, thank you so much. So yes, I am from Fairborn. I actually moved here in 2015. So I've been here for all of high school, and I graduated last year. I attend Wright State now. And after, I've always tried to be active because I am a person of color, and I'm also queer, and that inclusivity is still very important. So but after the murder of George Floyd, when Fairborn really wasn't doing anything about it, I took it upon myself and I organized a Black Lives Matter rally, and then a protest against some staff members in the Fairborn City Schools who have been racist in their authority and are just overall should not be educating students with how they were conducting themselves. And then since then, I started the Fairborn Diversity and Inclusion Committee to kind of help engage the Fairborn community in the acceptance of like diversity and inclusion as like a core value of our community and of our town, because Fairborn is like 82% white. There's I think less than 10% of people who are Black, less than 5% or about 5% of people of mixed races, even less, I think 3% of Asian people live in our community, and then even smaller, up to the 0.15% of Native American or Pacific Islander people in our community. But I basically wanted something that was more permanent than having like protests or rallies, because not everyone can make that, and that's not always accessible for everybody. And like you said, some people are scared, and I actually was at the Beavercreek protest as well. Tear gas is not fun. I also protest in Dayton, not fun as well. And I just wanted to have something that could last a long time and set some really good roots. And unfortunately with COVID, we're not able to do all the things that we want to do and that we have planned. But our main thing is, promoting multiculturalism and respecting all of the members of our community, providing supportive spaces for members of our community, because we don't really have anywhere where people who are queer or people of color, where if they're having issues, a really safe space where they can come and talk to individuals who can help them maybe get their goals put on like our list of objectives and goals, or how they can talk to the city council or things like that. We've been trying to collaborate with businesses and business owners in Fairborn and residents to provide a more inclusive environment and see what they can do and what we can help them do to create, a better experience for the members of our community, and really confronting the schools and striving for education, just to help everyone, because the more you have these conversations, the more normalized it becomes. And one thing that we really wanted to do as a committee is create Fairborn Talks, very similar to TED Talks, but instead we bring members of the community and we discuss one topic where we can all learn. So it could be, what is systemic racism, or what is white privilege, and how can you be better about going about it in your daily life? Just things like that, like taking different topics and trying to educate the community. And we had a lot of events kind of planned, but because of COVID, we're holding off. And we had a committee meeting this past week, actually, and we're kind of wrapping up our main foundation to really get our committee going. So I'm very excited to see what is to come, and I hope that we can just continue our mission and really be something amazing for our community as time goes on.
Right, right. So unlike the first two groups, you actually are working with city government on this initiative, right?
Yes. So we have Tana Stanton and Clint Allen, who are city council members, and they actually attended the Fairborn protest, and we met. And since then, we have been in contact, and we actually met, and we're like, we need something in Fairborn. And we all kind of birthed the idea of having a committee, and I kind of just set it up and was like, all right, let's just get the word out and get people involved. And we've had attendance has been pretty good. It's been changing from here to there with school starting, and not everyone's always available at the same time, but now we have core members and it's been really nice. We have queer people in our committee. We have people of color. We have people that work in Fairborn, people that have gone to. We actually have a high school student. Well, we had two, but we have a high school student now who is kind of our liaison for Fairborn, and she's been so great. So I'm very excited, and Fairborn has a lot of the protests. I did not even think would be as well received as it was, and it was just really nice to see the community come together. And even though it's a predominantly white area, we didn't really receive too much pushback, but there's a lot of BIPOC people in Fairborn that want their voices heard, and they've had experiences of racism with the police and with members of the community, and we just kind of want to try to educate our community to squash that, because it all really starts early too. Like we were saying before, like the way that we have learned history is very whitewashed and not true for about a lot of people's experiences. So it's hard, especially as a kid growing up. All you ever see is, oh well, look at all what these white people did, look how amazing it is. There's no representation. So hopefully we have a role in playing in that initiative to really confront racism in schools and push for more inclusive education as well. But the city council has been really nice with working with us. Tana and Clint have kind of been our liaisons to them and keeping us in check. I've never done anything with a committee before. I had never organized any kind of events before. So they've been really helpful in making sure, we're in the right technically, and like our laws are correct, and what we're doing is good, and we're not crossing any boundaries that we shouldn't be. So they've been very helpful.
That's great. That's great. Well, yeah, I mean, this is another approach, but it looks like you're hitting all the right marks as well. I mean, everyone's community is a little different, and it looks like the approach is, geared towards that difference. So good for you. All right. So how can people, if they want to join in on your group, how can they do that?
So we are just now setting up social media. But we do have a Facebook page called Inclusive Fairborn. There's no really content on it yet, but anyone is free to email me. I don't know if I should put it in the chat or if I should just say it. But my email is just my name, ANYATASSY@gmail.com. And I can get you started with some resources or information about the group or anything like that.
All right, fantastic. All right, thank you, Anaya. I appreciate you being here and sharing that. All right, well, let's keep moving because we've gone over time, but you know what? I don't even care because this is a great conversation. All right, so let's welcome in the last two, Sophia and Ariel. These are high school students. So I think we've kind of, well, I'm not sure of the ages of the first two, but it's like we're going down in age to our youngest for the end. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so tell us about your group and about yourselves and why you're involved and what your group, YS Speaking Up for Justice, has been doing.
Ariel, would you like to start?
Sure. All right. My name is Ariel Johnson. And YS Speaking Up for Justice is just the YS community trying to get together and really talk about what's going on in our town. We're known to be very open-minded and more of a liberal community. But a lot of people don't know about some of the things that go on in our town that go unnoticed. So I think one of our goals, at least for me, is to bring younger people into the conversation and get my classmates and involved in social justice and learning how to stand up for something that you believe in. And being young, a lot of people, I feel, don't necessarily take you seriously. But I mean, I feel very lucky to be in Yellow Springs and have Sophia as a great partner and organizer. And we have some other youth that are part of our organization. And so it's just really getting to the young people and getting our generation kind of riled up and started moving in a positive direction, I think.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, I'm Sophia Gislin, and Ariel pretty much covered all of it. We at YS Speaking Up for Justice, we have weekly rallies and marches every Saturday at 11 in front of Mills Lawn Elementary in Yellow Springs. The goal of our group is to just spread awareness about these issues that are going on and try and gain momentum with the movement. Like Ariel said, also there's a lot of underlying racism in Yellow Springs, which is really sad. So I think we're trying to bring that to light and make Yellow Springs mean what everyone else thinks it means. You know what I mean? We're seen as this liberal little island. We're super open, perfect, and it's sad to me that it really, it isn't really like that. So I think it's important that we try and live up to its namesake. We have a list of demands that we have presented the village council with, alongside having, multiple speakers at our rallies, speakers from the village council. Some of our demands to them include like educational reform, strategic plans on how to handle calls made to the YSPD reporting like suspicious activity, quantitative and qualitative analysis of the progress and the data of any progress or programs that we make towards our goals. That's just a short summary of it, but we're trying to make legislative change in Yellow Springs.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and you've had, how has the council responded to you so far?
The response has been less than ideal. We had some issues with we were getting threats from the KKK, I don't know if it was directly like a KKK organization. I know it was someone who was affiliated with the KKK. They were threatening us or talking about wanting to come to our rallies, and there was a call made, I think, from the chief of police to that member, and he was very accommodating and was not he did not act the way we feel he should have acted in that situation. So a part of our list of demands is we requested a public apology to the community. And there was kind of a situation with what's a justice circle, social sorry. What is it called, Ariel?
I'm not sure. Social justice circle, something like that. Yeah.
Sort of. So we tried to have a mediated conversation about our list of demands and what the village's response was going to be, which did not end very well. But it hasn't been totally ideal. It hasn't been completely cooperative, but they did.
That circle was a coming together of your group and the city council to discuss what was happening. Okay.
Right. Sorry. Yeah, I should have been more clear.
That's all right.
Although in the end, they did end up responding to our list of demands and doing their best to make accommodations to meet our demands. So, we're working with them. I think we're really trying hard to get the results that we want to see in our community. But
Good.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, good for you. So have the two of you been involved in organizing like this before? Or is this your first venture, I guess, at this age? You're like, when I was 12, I was like organizing the playground, Yeah. No, that's good.
We were the co-founders of an environmental club at our high school. Yeah. So I don't know, we are interested in justice, climate justice, social justice. So we have been partners in this.
Yeah.
Before.
Good. All right. So I have seen one of your rallies. I was actually at the rally outside the postal office. Is that 2 Saturdays ago when you guys came past?
Yeah.
And I had the megaphone in my hand at the time. So I was like, the microphone. So I got to join in with your chants. So, all right. Thank you, ladies, for coming. So how can people join your group? Do you have a social media presence?
Yes, we have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and we have a Snapchat as well.
Okay.
So yeah, our group name is YS Speaking Up for Justice.
Okay.
I don't believe we don't have any questions. I don't think that you need to fill out in order to join our Facebook page. You can just join.
Okay. All right, great. All right, well, thank you to all the women who are organizing this. It seems to be a bit of a trend. So I appreciate all of you coming on, and like I mentioned when I was asking you to join, I hope that you can all connect together and use that to your benefit, to learn from each other and join together in a way that helps strengthen our entire region, because none of us live in little we don't have walls around our communities. We're all connected. And this is certainly something for me, representing District 73, to see such energy surrounding this issue in every city. It makes me very happy. So thank you, ladies. And
could I say one more thing? I'm so sorry.
Yes. No,
I
please
just
do.
like to mention that we have a rally this Saturday at 11 a.m. at Mills Lawn, covering Black artists and celebrating them and the art they create. We're going to have live music and a lot of amazing speakers. So anyone watching, feel free to attend. Please remember to wear a mask and stay socially distanced. We have quite a lot of open space to stay socially distanced. So we're trying our best to make it safe. But yeah, please come if you are able. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sophia. Thank you. All right, thank you again to all of you ladies. And we will see you next time. Maybe I'll have you back on in a few months when we can get an update on how things are going.
Awesome.
So, all right. Thank you very much. All right. If you guys just want to leave, I will finish this up.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Just say, all right, one by one. All right, well, thank you to everyone for listening today. That was a really interesting conversation. Glad to have, like I said, lots of women leading these movements for change. So that's a great thing. Next week, we will be having a representative from Tax Busters, which is a PAC that was formed who are working in opposition to the Beavercreek City income tax initiative. So I thought that would be an interesting topic to cover. Lots of people are discussing this and trying to work out whether this is a good or bad thing for the community. So yeah, I welcome you to come back then. But for today, good afternoon. Enjoy your Friday and your long weekend, and happy Labor Day on Monday. Thanks, everyone.